What's up, guys? Welcome to G Whiskey. I'm Jeff. This is a channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions on a specific whiskey, and if you stick around to the end, I'll be giving it a score as well. If that sounds interesting, hit subscribe down below, and with that out of the way, let's jump into our review. Today we're looking at the Wild Turkey Rare Breed Non-Chill Filtered. Stick around. America, home of the free, land of the brave. It is also home to bald eagles, Pop-Tarts, the 2007 Chevrolet Silverado 1500, Cool Ranch Doritos, a thriving democracy, Dharma and Greg, a giant canyon, southern accents, hats, lots of different types of hats. Here's two. Hollywood movies, Hollywood stars like Dr. Phil, Sex and the City people, Bobcat Goldthwait, and Jesus. There's tornadoes, Michigans, Wall Street, fighter jets, rich people with yachts, poor people with banjos, poor people without banjos, and a fuckload of people who like to argue about politics. Even in my comments, when I say nothing political at all, and I never do because it's a whiskey channel and I'm not even American, I still have people showing up in the comments screaming at each other about politics and presidents. It's wild. In fact, just for fun, here are some words. Trump, Biden, guns, immigrants, abortion, healthcare, and racism. How about those things? Now, personally, I try to avoid weighing in on politics myself, but since we're on the subject, I think that Biden should give out free racism to healthcare. I think that Trump should sue aborted immigrants, and I think the next president should be guns. Now, to be fair, I don't know why I'm picking on the States so much. I'm from Canada, and a total of about 3 interesting things have ever happened in Canada. This picture here is about 87% of our country's national personality. What a place. Hey, winter sucks. Anyway, that is now most of North America pissed off. I did leave out Mexico, though. Mexico. Too much sepia? I don't know, man. Anyway, going back to my list of things out of the States, I left out 2 of the best and most important things. The first of those is Star Trek, and the second is whiskey. And while I would love to talk about both, I don't think you guys want to hear me talk about how the Sovereign class ship design is single-handedly the greatest ship design to enter the Star Trek franchise ever since the introduction of the original Constitution class back in the 1960s. You don't even care, do you? Fine, so bourbon it is then. Now, if you follow the channel at all, you know that I'm primarily focused on Scotch. I have reviewed bourbons before, but like maybe once, maybe twice, and it was years ago. And bourbon isn't really my thing. When it comes to bourbon, I am a bit of a racist. Actually, that's a poor choice of words. I just happen to prefer single malts to bourbon. I'm not a racist. In fact, some of my best friends drink bourbon. Hell, I even met a bourbon drinker the other day. Great guy. I shook his hand. I would be happy if he moved into my neighborhood. And there are even plenty of bourbons that I like. I like this one, and this one, and this one. Now, I'm sure those are like rookie bourbons to high up bourbon guys, but I like them. But if I'm being honest, I don't explore bourbon as much as I probably should. But when I hear about a certain bourbon that's getting a lot of praise from people, and not just bourbon people, I mean Scotch people, people from the single malt world, people with good taste, that's when I get curious. And the bourbon we've got here today is a big crowd pleaser, it seems. Last year, it won an OSWA, or an Online Scotch Whiskey Award, for best, I believe it was best non-single malt whiskey. So it's definitely getting a lot of respect. And so I felt like I should try it. And when I say try it, I actually mean try it again. I have had it before, but it's been a really long time. Or actually, I haven't had this one before because this one is the international non-chill filtered release. And the last one I had was just the regular one, which I don't know if it is chill filtered or not. I've heard that it might actually not be. And this one is just marketed as non-chill filter for the sake of marketing. I don't know if that's true. Comments, you can do your thing. Anyway, our mash bill here is 75% corn, 13% rye, and 12% barley. As I said, it's been a really long time since I looked at a bourbon on the channel, but since I hear so much about this one, since it's so hyped up, and since I would sell my soul for a few extra clicks, I figured I would give this one a shot, so let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into our review. In the meantime, if you'll kindly leave a like down below, that would be greatly appreciated. For specs, this one comes in at a whopping 58.4%. I don't think they color bourbons at all. I don't think that's a standard thing that's done. They don't really need to with all that new oak. And the whiskey, entitled Wild Turkey Rare Breed Non-Chill Filtered, is non-chill filtered. When you're as experienced as I am, you kind of learn how to read the signs. So for looks, I like this bottle. I think it's even a little bit better looking than the standard release, albeit not that different. This one's got like a darker bit on the label. The other one I think is red. But yeah, it's a handsome bottle. We'll give it 4 out of 5. Obviously, it says it's non-chill filtered. Beyond that, there's not a lot of noise. There's not a lot of production details. And to be fair, I don't really know what's expected on a bourbon label, which is actually a good question for you guys. Like, if you're a regular bourbon drinker, is there some essential information that you're always looking for on the label? What is it? You can let me know that down below as well. But in terms of like just the look of the bottle, I think it's a cool bottle. So on the nose, right out the gate, this is very big. And it also gives me more rye than I was expecting. So we get stuff like grassy notes, herbal notes, spicy notes, wintergreen, menthol, classic rye flavors. Behind that, there's caramels, brown sugars, butterscotch, strong nutmeg, cinnamon on toast, vanilla ice cream, toasted oak, and some peppery heat. On the palate and finish, we're greeted with big spices up front, but they come on very gradually. We get corn and rye in very good harmony here. This is both sweet and bitter. It's grassy. There's more wood than the nose suggested. This is spicy and drying with strong toasted oak notes. We get a medium finish here with cinnamon, pepper, and oak spice. All right, so this is very interesting. This one is the same mash bill as the regular rare breed, but for me, the rye shines through a lot stronger here than it does on the regular one. In fact, it's very strong for something that's only 13% rye, at least it is for me. I don't remember that being the case with the regular one, although it has been a long time. So yeah, for me, just more of a rye note than the mash bill suggests, and I'm not the biggest rye guy. I don't dislike it either. I think it's fine, but I think in the case of this whiskey, it works out very well. Usually my biggest complaint about bourbons is that they can go too sweet, and I've had bourbons with more rye in the mash bill be much sweeter than this, but just in the case of this whiskey, I think the rye just being, you know, herbal and grassy and a little bit bitter, a little bit spicy, it brings a great balance to the whiskey. Also, we do get some great intensity. As I mentioned earlier, our ABV is 58.4%, which for bourbons is actually not that crazy. There are some bourbons out there that are like 65+%, and that's a lot. But this one, 58.4%, I actually still like to drink it neat. It's definitely punchy, but it's punchy in a good way. And finally, texture. This has a great texture to it. It is thick and viscous and rich and mouth coating. Sadly, I don't have the regular rare breed to do a side-by-side with. Obviously, I would want to compare the flavors between the two, but with the chill filtration, I would also want to compare the textures between the two. I think that'd be very interesting, but I don't have it, so that's a shame. Anyway, I gotta say, I really enjoy this one. I think it's a fantastic bourbon. I'm still, at the end of the day, not a bourbon guy, so I don't reach for this bottle too often, but if I were a bourbon guy, I think this would be one of my more coveted pours. So this checks a lot of boxes. We get texture, we get flavor, we get intensity, we get balance. Balance is something that I personally don't find too much of in a lot of bourbons. I think we get a great balance here. For score, I'm gonna land on 86, and it would be higher if I was a bourbon guy. Like, as a Scotch guy, I thoroughly appreciate this. Now, if you're coming from the world of bourbon, then you already know all about Wild Turkey Rare Breed. I'm not sure if you've tried the non-chill filtered version, but I do recommend it. Couldn't tell you how it's different. But if you're coming from the world of Scotch, often Scotch drinkers find bourbons a little bit too loud, a little bit too simple, and a little bit too sweet. I think this is one of the better ones. I think it's well suited for Scotch drinkers if you're interested in kind of dipping your toes into the bourbon world. So yeah, very good stuff. It is recommended. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And next up, I do want to talk about value. But before we do that, I want to give a big thank you to all my patrons and channel members. Thank you guys so much for all the support. And if you guys want to help out, if you want to help keep the channel financially sustainable and independent, there are a number of ways that you can help. I've got both Patreon and PayPal linked down below. Anything and everything helps, guys. And again, a massive thank you to all of those of you who are already supporting the channel. Now, let's see if our rare breed here is worth the money. Yes, it is. This one is for sure worth the money. This one cost me just under $50 American here in Taiwan, and that's for a full liter bottle. So it's excellent bang for buck. I think bourbons compared to scotches in general offer more bang for buck, and I think this is one of the better ones out there. So very much worth the money and very much recommended. All right, that is going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. And of course, I do want to hear from you. Have you tried our Wild Turkey Rare Breed? Have you tried the non-chill filtered version? Have you compared it to the regular version? Let me know all of that down below. Finally, down below, you can also let me know what you want to see me review down the line, and I'll keep it in mind for my upcoming videos. Bye, guys.